I can. I'm glad I did, because otherwise I would have been talking forever and not even known that I wasn't connected. But I am connected now, right? Hello? Some feedback on this? Hello? Yep, that working.
Yep, I can see you. I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So let's continue. Let's see, where was I? I guess I was starting to talk about the task of synchronizing the function calls in WinDev with the DLL. And these are all of the prototypes that are supplied by Tracker for Clarion, for C, for Pascal, and Visual Basic. And it was like a daunting task to try to figure out, I just couldn't imagine coding each one of these things. And the truth, let's see. Okay. The truth of the matter is you don't need all of these. There's really relatively few that you do need. So it was kind of slick to actually have the WinDev program that could parse these things out. And let's see. So this was the allocation here, and I generate the description, place it in the clipboard, and you can see here the, that's not it. It's the other one. These are the lines. Okay, the API description, the DLL name. Now, what I have done is I took the long DLL name string and stuck it up at the top one time and gave it a name. And then I just supply the variable here, the name of the function, and then the type of return variable. And mostly, you're going to find that it's all API int4. And this parameter I put in as the size. Okay, so that was this this part of it was, okay, I got the function calls down to something manageable. What's the next step? I contacted Tracker again, and their support is really okay. I think he's further along than he was. Should we resync? Start over? What do we want to do? I'm really sorry for the interruption. I don't know how that that happened. Let's do that. Let's take a quick start over. You all saw the differences in the PDF files, WinDev versus the actual PDF. And so the job or the task is, how do we use Tracker software PDF tools to get this mess untangled? And the thing is that the amount of information and the capabilities of the PDF tools is fantastic. I mean, there's just a ton of 600 pages worth of stuff to go through, and it's seriously scary. And it was scaring me, and I just kept putting it off and putting it off. And finally, I committed to doing this webinar, and I said, okay, let's just do it. So I started reading the books a little bit, contacting Tracker software. Craig Ransom has been fantastic, really, in helping me with this. He was my lifeline when I was doing it in Clarion, and he said, you know what, the best thing to do is to just take the Clarion class and follow it along and try to replicate it and use it in WinDev. So that's what I decided to do. There are two DLLs in WinDev that are the main ones, this one and this one, okay? So I said, let's find all the function calls that are in these two DLLs, and let's find some way to import them into WinDev. And that's where these two files came up. This is one of them with a list of all of the functions that the PXC module supports, and this is a list of all the functions that the PXCP module supports. And these ET modules, functions here, this is extract text. So these are the main ones that are going to be used out of this module, out of this DLL and the other DLL. So the question was, how do you make some sense out of all of this stuff, and what can you do in an easy fashion? So I decided to write a little program that would decode this stuff into something that WinDev understands. And after reading about how to interface with the DLLs, in WinDev. So the best way that they said was to use the API description. And so I read about API description, and it really did look pretty slick, and it gives you the ability to give a nice, concise name to the function. And so that's basically what I decided to use. So it's how to translate these function calls into something that WinDev understands. And that's where, I came up with this program that would let me select the particular function that I was interested in, and like, whoops, text. Okay, these are the ones that have to do with text, but in this case, that's not the right DLL because it doesn't have the ETs in there. And so I have to put in the other one. And somewhere along the line, I said to store the history of this thing in WinDev, and I can't get that to work. So I don't know. I just have to find the other DLL and put in the name here, and then it would show all of the function calls in that. Okay. So that's, anyway, I was able to build these things up, and I built them up into a list, project code, not there. Where the devil is it? No, code. Here we go. So I just started stacking them all up. The first thing you have to do is initialize, and anyway, so I started accumulating these things. If anybody wants to give me any feedback, verbal feedback would be great. I'm sorry about the screen size. I can only change the size of the font in WinDev. Let's see. Okay. So the task is then, what do you do? Go ahead.
Bob,
yeah.
So you had to actually define everything?
Every function call that you want to use.
Everything.
Yeah, every function call that you want to use out of the DLL. I'm sorry?
So just expose every one of them. So you would expose every method out of that DLL that you wanted to get to. Okay.
That you want to get to. Yep. The only way you can get to it. Only way you can get to it is to define it. And so that's kind of why I wrote the program, so that I could pick and choose without having to go back and struggle with, trying to figure out the formats and all of that stuff. So, and using the Clarion class as a guide, I discovered that what I needed to do was this. Okay. You need to do an init, and then read the document, and then get the page count, and then prepare the document, analyze the page content, and then decode the page. And we can go more into detail on these things, but you see how simple then the function call becomes. You say, init and the name of the address, I'm sorry, the address of the integer that holds the handle for the doc, the address of the developer's key code and the developer's, I don't know, some other code. They have two codes anyway, and you have to supply them, or you'll see what happens. She gets all kinds of warnings, you know, demonstration, evaluation stuff only. Okay, so you got it initialized. You read the document, and here you supply the address of a string that is the location of the PDF file. And now you'll notice that we no longer use the address because this is the handle number, the actual integer of the handle number of the document that was created in the init. Not document, it's a instantiation of their control information and stuff. Okay. This is a reserved parameter, it's not used. Okay, so you read the document in, then get the number of pages to be processed, and you supply the address of an integer that will hold the page count. And this was one of the more difficult parts for me, was getting used to this idea of supplying the address of something rather than just plunking down the actual value. So, you know, getting used to the ampersand notation and that was yeah, challenging. Okay, so you get the page count. If the return code was 0, it just flashes up a message that says we have so many pages, and then prepare the document. And this causes the tracker tools to do more internal preparation. And then we're ready to actually do the work of extracting the text. Okay, and now you see we're going to do it 1 through the number of pages. Pages are 0 based, so page 0, and then check the return code. If it was successful, then decode the page. And let's go to look at what's involved in decoding the page, because this is where the real work is done. Okay, a little bit of setup to information, and I have not quite figured out yet how to dynamically allocate strings and things, and buffers, you can't dynamically allocate this, change the size of a buffer, so that didn't work. So what I decided to do was to just make some big strings and use them as buffers. Okay, let's see.
Hey, Bob.
Okay, so yeah.
On the bottom we have a chat screen if you wanna see it. Dave Farmer down on the bottom here.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, you don't.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't see them both at the same time. Is the problem? So just alert me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
We can go back and show that. You wanted to see, this is the actual PDF. Okay. And this is what happens when you extract it with WinDev. And maybe I can get them both on the screen at the same time. So that you can compare.
Else, on your screen, on the top right corner, there's a button called Full Screen for people watching. If you click that, things could get bigger for you.
Okay. So you see here, the real report has a column of information. Actually, each line consists of 3 or 4 columns. And what happens in WinDev is that the extraction takes and just goes right down the column and puts it across the line. And this is because the PDF is extracted in the same order in which it was built. So if they're building this column by column, then that's the way it's going to come back out. And in the PDF Tools SDK, you can actually get the X and the Y coordinate of each character if you need it. And so you can put it back in order, and that's what I hope to demonstrate today, is that using the PDF tools, you can actually get back something that's meaningful. Okay? And so anyway, this is where all of the work is
Did that
done.
answer your question, Dave? Dave, did that answer your question? Oh, okay, go ahead. Too much
Okay.
disruption for you today. Sorry.
So we're going to get the element count. Now an element is each little segment, and it can vary. It can vary quite widely from PDF to PDF as to what constitutes an element. But most usually it's a character or a blank delimited, word in a word or phrase in a document. Like on an invoice document, it might be quantity and description and cost and things like that. It's nice when they come out in those discrete chunks, but there are other times the way the PDF is built, it comes out in just either one line for the whole line, or it comes out as partial. It's a mess. I've seen all kinds of different PDFs, and trying to come up with a universal text extraction has been my my dream, I guess. Okay. So you get the element count, and then we're going to iterate through based on element count. And again, this is zero-based. So we get the element, and you have to get the element twice. The first time that you get it, you get information about the count. How many characters are actually in this element. And I have limited myself to 1024. I've set up some buffers that will handle 1023 characters. And after that, I'm just going to put out a message that says truncated. I don't think I'd run into anything this big in any of the PDFs that I'm working with, so that's where I drew the line. You could make it bigger. Could also go into a whole thing of dynamic strings. I just haven't learned to do that yet. So there is a control block called text element, and I have set that up in a file, which I guess I should show you. I got to find it. .wl. I made up a file that I took this from a Pascal thing, and I made up constants. So for those of you who were online when my discussion about equates and constants and everything, I finally decided that equates in WinDev are in fact constants. They are typeless. So I took this file from PDF Tools and translated it. It was really, really close, actually, to WinDev notation. And these are all the different equates in that relate to different things, different functions in PDF Tools. Okay, and then down at the bottom, I included a couple of structures that are key. One is the matrix, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and the other is this text element. And one of the items that is in the text element is the size of the text element. And then the mask, which is some flags that they use in processing, This is the address of the character buffer, the address of the offsets buffer, the count, the number of characters, a font index. You can get information about fonts and font sizes. And here's where the matrix actually fits into the text element. So this structure is embedded in this structure. And it all works, amazingly enough. Character spacing and word spacing are some special values that I have not really found a use for. So that's the text element that I'm referring to back here. And I've abbreviated, the structure name is TE. Okay, so this is my buffer address, my offset address, the mask. I want it to extract the text, I want it to extract the matrix, and I want it to extract offsets. Okay, so get the element. Now, and the parameters, the document, the handle, the particular element number that you're dealing with, the address of the control block, and the flags. Okay, set the page number. One element, that would be nice to explain. What I'm going to do is I'm going to extract each element into an array, a structure array. And then I'll be able to deal with that. I can sort it, I can work with it, but this way I'll have all of the elements in WinDev, in a WinDev structure that I can deal with. And I've called that one element, and I think that is defined. Must have made it a global. I don't know. Basically, these are the parts of it here. The page number, the X and Y coordinates, and they come out of the matrix. The E and F values in the matrix are the X and Y coordinates of the particular element that's been extracted. And the account number of, this is the number of characters, and it is a null terminated string, so the actual count of characters is one less than what they give you. Then I took, and they always come back in Unicode. There's no choice of that. So you have to take the buffer and extract it to ANSI character string, and I just do that within the same buffer. And then you have to use a string retrieve because it's a null terminated string in a buffer, and the only way to get it into a regular string in WinDev is to use string retrieve. So that's what I do, put that into the as content. Now, the offset was crazy difficult for me to wrap my head around. There's this list of real values that contain the offset for each individual character. So the offset for the first character is 0. The offset for the second character might be, and these are all in points, by the way, might be 4.628751934 points. And I want to know where the end of this string coming in is. And because one of the things that I have to do is to try to analyze this text structure for columns. What lines up with what. And of course, if the column is left justified, then the beginning addresses should all line up. If it's right justified, then the ending addresses should all line up. So this is how I get the ending X coordinate. It's the offset that is indicated by the count times 8, because each offset is 8. So I transfer that, and I have to use transfer to get it into a WinDev variable. This was a real learning experience for me as to how to get stuff from a buffer into WinDev variables, and it works really slick. Okay, so I now know the page number, I know the X and Y coordinate, I know how many characters there are, I know what the character string is, I know what the width of the whole thing, I'm sorry, not the width, but the ending coordinate is, and oh, okay, so I transfer in the offset, and then I add in the beginning coordinate so that I now have the offset to the end. And if my if I exceeded the buffer of 1024, I overlay the last few characters with a message that says, hey, this was truncated, but won't see that happen. And finally, now that I've got this structure built up, I add it to my array called text elements. And we just go over and over and over until we've processed every element in the page. Then we flip back to the original, page, or wherever, here, decode page. We go back and loop back and get another page until we've exhausted all of the pages. And then once we've exhausted all of the pages, now comes a couple of interesting things. If we go back and we look at PDF file, here, they all look like they're nice and smooth on the same line. But in fact, as Clarion folks know, if you place these fields on here manually and you don't go back and align them all to the same Y value, they may be off by just a point, or sorry, a tenth of a point, just a small little bit. But when you're dealing with a computer, everything with the same Y coordinate is on the same line. Well, if the coordinate is 808 and another coordinate is 809, even though the eye can't discern the difference between those two, the computer sees them as two completely different values, and so they aren't on the same line. So what I do is I go into Smooth It, which takes, hello, and loops through the,
Still here.
first go ahead. What? Question? Okay, so I loop through all of the elements. A delay, okay?
That's why you don't hear my question right away or comment.
Okay.
But go ahead, you're doing good.
The Smooth It is going to take all of the Y coordinates for a given page. So first I have to sort the array by page number, and then the Y coordinates start, the top of the page is high numbers and they go down the page. So I sort all of the arrays by page and then the Y coordinates. Go through and look, and I have decided that any Y coordinates that are within 5 of each other are in fact the same line, and I will change them all to agree. So the 808 and the 809 would all become 809. And just loop through the array and do that. Then do the same for the X's, because again, if I have seen variations of like 1 point where this X ends in this place, and then this one is one more, one less, one more, and so on. And I need to have them all exactly the same. So if any of the X values are within 2, I zap them back. And then this is just a flag, because you'll see in a minute I'm separating the before and the after. And then I just display all of the elements again. Okay, so let's go actually look at this in operation. That's not where it is. That's not where it is. There it is. Okay, let's go minimize that again. Let's get some of this trash out of here. Okay, So this was the way that WinDev extracted the text. Now let's look at how PDF Tools extracts the text. Notice the difference. I've put the lines back together, so you can see that it more closely matches the real PDF. Now I have substituted a tab character for any of the arbitrary white spaces. And the only thing that I've noticed here is that the X's are out of order on these lines for some reason, and I don't know exactly why this 659 is out there. So I may have done something wrong to in handling that. I don't know. But anyway, you can see this is a substantial improvement over the WinDev PDF text extraction. Now, I want to show you, this is a trace of the elements. And this is exactly the way that they come off, and this is why the extract from WinDev is screwed up. Because this is just going in and saying, get me the first element, the second, the third, and so on. And here's, so what WinDev does is it just takes these things and streams them. And that's why they look so, so weird. Okay, so going down, then someplace, there's my eye catcher. And this is putting things back in order so that you can read these across the line. Customers call that damn pit stop. It's a convenience store by a dam. Anyway, so that's basically what this is all about, is how to extract the text and put it back into order by X and Y. Does that make any sense to anybody?
Let me bring the chat stuff back up. Let's see. They can chat on the other chat or this chat. Yeah,
I can see.
So just doing regular. You can see the Skype. Do you want them to type?
I can see the Skype.
Skype or in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and type your questions.
Skype would be
Skype,
good.
then. Let's see. Did you see?
Yeah, my setup here is I've got my laptop and my desktop working.
Okay. Okay, let's see. This is the question. This is the question Dave Farmer had. He says he was still wondering about the Tools button, what that does.
Tools button where?
Dave, can you elaborate? When you were, okay, let me grab that other. Sorry about that. Try and pull it back out so I can see it. There. Can you see it now?
It's the last thing I showed. I don't recall a Tools button.
Hey, by the way, have you ever heard of Type Live? There's something that you could use to. I'm gonna show it some other day, but you can. No, that's OCX, not DLL. Okay. What's the last thing he showed? Oh, so you already showed it. Okay.
Okay.
building
Any
up to the
other
grand finale.
questions?
Hey, so doing regular
I don't-
PDF, Bob?
Yeah,
Doing regular
yeah.
PDF, in WinDev, are you using PDF tools to generate your PDF, or are you using the PDF that's
I don't.
native to WinDev?
Okay, I do not generate. The only way I generate PDF files is I use. By the way, I gotta put in a plug for PDF tools. This viewer. I have the Exchange Viewer Pro, and it's like $40. It will create PDFs for you, but they have a free viewer. I mean, it's way better than Adobe Acrobat. And you can, for instance, go into the typewriter tool, text tool here, and highlight text and copy it. You can take, this is just the hand to scroll things up and down. That's not all the options are even showing here, but it's just, I love it. It's an absolutely fantastic viewer. And it also, if you buy the Pro version, you get the printer driver that will let you create PDF files. And if you create PDF files, then you can do things like you can extract pages, you can delete a page from a PDF, you can crop them, you can insert them, you can combine PDF pages out of other PDF files. Okay, there's a question from Pete. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I do for creating PDF files is I just print them. I do not build them out of any programming.
You don't. Okay, let's see. Is there
Peter, yes.
anybody? Oh, he's not even on, so I don't know.
Oh.
Go ahead and answer that question, but he's not even on. But he's giving a useful hint.
Well, it is, and
Okay, what Peter said
let's
in
just.
Skype, yeah.
I'll show you.
Yeah, just bring that up if you don't mind.
Tools, Control Center, API, but it doesn't work very well. That's the problem. That's what prompted me to build my own. Oh, Peter says he is there.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, it says he's under another name. Look at the other tab pages. What? Well, there's this one, but it doesn't work very well.
Let's see if we can get his mic on. Is this you, Peter? Joe Lehmans? Is that you? Because this might be interesting. What is this? Function and structure.
Yes, this, if you have some C function calls, this would convert them to WLanguage. But, oh, I know, one of the things it doesn't, it converts it to the call32, not the API description. That was one reason why I didn't use it. Let me see if I can find PDF tools.h.
Look at the other tab.
Tracker. I don't know. I'm just trying to. Oh, that's C. I was trying to find some C prototypes that I could use to demonstrate.
He says that the API and the call DLL are the same same WX function. Call DLL is
Yes.
the old name.
Oh, okay. Yes, they are. The problem is that the API description is something different. API and call DLL are one-liners. The API description has the multiple lines that I showed, and is actually, they someplace in there they say this is the preferred way to do it. And I think it makes a lot more sense. I think it's a lot easier that you can store this stuff away in one place and not have to deal with resurrecting or reconstructing the API instruction for each time. So, but I was trying to show some of the stuff on the C. Let's see, defs. I think this might be one. Yeah, I took this. This is like the enum. This was the equates that I put, and I took this and I shoved it into that API tool here, and it just came out horrible. It said it couldn't find anything. Yeah, it was a mess, so I gave up on it. And the structures weren't, it wasn't that helpful. I thought it'd be really slick, but it turned out not to be. So that's why I ended up doing my own. Is that clear?
You have another question here, Frank.
Okay.
Not everybody sees it, so let me read it. It says, Bob, excellent job, and now see why you are, see why you are using tracker software for PDF. Did you just say that you use their tools to create the PDF? I didn't catch why you reformatted the original PDF back to readable format. Frank.
Okay. I do not use their tools to, well, okay, I do not use PDF tools, the SDK, to create PDFs. I use what they call the Pro Viewer to create PDFs by using it as a printer driver. So I simply print to, let's see here, I'll show you.
The Exchange driver, print driver?
Yeah, yeah. Printers, come on, printers have got to be here, right? No, it's, what is it, devices and printers.
Yes, right there.
So I just, yeah. So this is set up to my default printer, and I print to this, and then it comes up, and I can see whether or not I ever really want to commit it to paper or not. I don't have any printers attached to my laptop anyway. So, anyway,
so
this is it's a really slick. It's well worth it. No, the driver is part of Tracker Tools Exchange Viewer Lite. It's or Exchange Viewer Pro. Let's see if we go
so it's the expensive license. That's not PDF Tools. That's the more expensive one.
No, they supposedly cleaned up their website. I still have trouble with it. Products. Okay.
Okay, right there.
It is
Exchange
the first
Lite.
one, Pdf-Xchange Viewer.
Yes.
Okay. And if you get the Pro version of that, it comes in two flavors. It comes in a free flavor and a Pro flavor. And the free flavor, you cannot create PDFs by printing. The Pro version lets you create, has a printer driver with it. It's for your personal use. It is not...
Okay, but for a programmer that wants to put PDF support in their application, I think that's where people's mindset were here,
okay.
I think.
Okay, that is going to be the Pdf-Xchange.
Because I use PDF tools right now in
Um,
Clarion, and I thought that's what you were gonna, that red one.
yeah, I don't believe it has,
That's,
well, yes, it has create capability.
yep.
Deleter extract, it's for managing PDFs. I don't know. I don't think you can create a raw PDF from it. You can create thumbnails, you can edit bookmarks. All of these things are dealing with existing PDF files.
I use PDF tools to create raw PDFs.
Okay.
And I was wondering if you could use PDF tools with WinDev without doing all the stuff you just showed us on extracting.
No. No. You have to use the functions. And the only way to use the functions is to go in and build the API descriptions and then do the calls.
Okay.
Um,
Thanks. Okay,
you know,
so
what,
if one person
what,
does it, then everybody will have it, right?
exactly. What I was going to say is one thing that Craig Ransom did for Clarion was he put together classes that greatly simplify this work for Clarion programmers. My attempt with this webinar today was to try to simplify things a little bit for WinDev programmers, but I'm not to the point yet where I'm writing classes. But at least by showing how to interface with it, I hope to have made things a little easier. And certainly if anybody wants the little API description generator, they're welcome to that.
Any other questions? Pete, did you see Peter's note to you? He says, thank you for the clarification. Yep. I used WD API years ago for defining a Twain interface. Thank you for letting me know. It doesn't work very well anymore. In the old days, it was a good basis, but simple.
One thing I wanted to show that I got a kick out of, let me find, I wrote, because I needed to look at storage, I wrote a little storage display routine, and I got to find a good place here to stick it in. Let's see.
While you're looking, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Dave Farmer's asking, is this the Pdf-Xchange or PDF tools that you're using?
This is PDF tools, the PDF tools SDK.
Okay.
Pdf-Xchange is going to be similar in the approach to using it in WinDev. You're going to use the API descriptions and, you know, and that sort of thing. Let's see what kind of chaos this creates. Oh, yes. Oh, dear. I've ruined it. I broke it. There we go. What I wanted to show here is a little storage dump routine that I wrote. And basically, you know, the WinDev has a function where you can take a buffer and you can have it display hex. But that wasn't real useful for me. I wanted the address and I wanted to see the characters. So I made a little routine that would do that, and it would the buffer was only 16 bytes long, and then using the int2hexa function, I could put out the actual address, and then I wrote a thing to translate the character string. And this is how I was able to discover what the offset buffers looked like and other structures and things. So that's all. I just didn't know if anybody was interested in this. I suggested to PCSoft that they expand the buffer to hexa thing to give this sort of display, because I think it would be extremely useful. So that's all.
That's cool.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it. I don't see any other questions. Wait. Frank says, to clarify, to print only, not to extract data from existing PDF, you use Pdf-Xchange Viewer or Pdf-Xchange Lite. That's what Frank says.
Yes. By the way, Pdf-Xchange Viewer will let you copy the text. You can highlight the text. You know, so if you just had one PDF file that you wanted one time to get the text out of, it's actually works pretty well to highlight the text and take it out. I love the viewer. I think it is the best viewer out there, and I think it's worth getting the Pro version to get the capability to print. So if nobody else has any questions.
Doesn't seem like it, so I guess we will call it a wrap, huh? People are still typing,
Okay.
so I'm not sure.
You know, if anybody's got any questions for me in the future, you can contact me on Skype. Be happy to answer them. I'll be happy to give you any of this code. You know, the API description creation is probably the most useful part of this, I think. That's all from me.
Alan says, thank you, Bob. Well, you can read that. Okay. So I don't know if Dave and Frank are typing anything, but I think we can call it a wrap unless I see it.
Okay. What should I talk about next week?
What would you like to talk about next week?
I mean, why stop at 3,
you know
right?
what? Just come up with something over the weekend. That's right.
Okay.
Why don't you try and break a record? Break your own record.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, let's call it a wrap, and everybody have a super Memorial Day weekend, no matter where you are in the world. And Bob, thanks again. Number 3. We're looking forward to number 4. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to stop the recording now.